A field boundary is defined by the largest extent of the cultivated managed acres within an area that stays the same over time. So if I choose to come in here and create a boundary, and in my case I'll do the draw option, and I choose another boundary here, and if I click on an area of that boundary, that's going to show up there, and I can pinpoint that exactly where I want to drop that first pin and continue on around that field to create the boundary outline, making sure that as I go around the field boundary that I define that outline exactly as I want it to be, whereas in this case every one of the little push pins you see is where I've dropped a vertex. So if I close that polygon, it's going to close that and show me in this particular case that I've got 113.1 acres that is appropriate now for the particular boundary. If you had a waterway that was internal to the boundary, you could go into the boundary and split that out. If you had a waterway that went across the field, you have tools to be able to come here and go in and split that out as well. So you can do an edit vertex, draw split, or if you were out there in the field in real time, you could use GPS split. Once you get a boundary tied to the correct set of geography that you want in the real world, I'm going to hit save and tie that to that particular field for what I want to call that. And in this case, this is my number 12 field, so I would just name that as such and save that out. I can now go down to the field boundary, which is my static area of managed acres over time, and I can create a management zone, whereas the farmer may come in here in year number 1 or 2, or whatever the case may be, and he may say, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to split that field up by some location, because we're going to go from north to south. We're going to split that field going on what's over on the west side, which in this case 77.25 acres, over on the east side 35.80 acres, and the whole field itself happens to be 113 500ths of an acre. The point being is that those two zones, or that one split, won't be the same next year because it may go back to one crop next year. But what changes between seasons is what we call management zones. And management zones are different than what the boundary is. The boundary only changes if the boundary needs to change in the real world. But if it's something that's static, that's a boundary change. If it's something that's dynamic, where it's season to season to season, that's going to be a management zone change. And then once you create your boundaries based upon this logic, you can start to collect all your data, and then the data can be utilized for the value for what the data can be turned into for information. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.